and thank you for calling this a very important hearing. Mr. Ahern, are you old enough to know the TV show Dragnet?
I am, sir.
You are. Sergeant Friday?
He's one of my favorite characters, sir.
Then you recall Just the Facts, ma'am, Just the Facts.
Yes, sir.
He was renowned for that line, and I think that's all I'd request today. I'm going to ask a series of questions, and I would like your response, just the facts, if I could. Mr. Ahern, who exactly was in charge in gathering the $400 million in currency? What level of staff is tasked to gather the $400 million in cash, place it on a plane, and send it to a foreign government? How were these dollars packaged? Was the military used to fly the plane, to fly the money to Iran? How did Iran receive the cash? Please take a moment and articulate the exact process of the money exchange from the moment the State Department went to the bank and withdrew the cash to the moment Iran received the money.
Sir, as I said, there were two payments. They flowed in generally the same manner, but I'll break them down into two payments and walk through the flow, how they each worked. With respect to the $400 million principal that was held in the FMS account, those funds were transferred to an account of the Swiss National Bank.
And then who's in charge of gathering that money?
I'm sorry, sir?
Who was in charge of gathering the $400 million?
Well, this was it was a wire transfer to that account. Once in that account, the Foreign National Bank converted those funds.
And who initiated the wire transfer?
That was initiated by as I said in my opening statement, the Defense Finance and Accounting
Service. I'm sorry I missed that, but just kindly convey that.
So it was a Department of Defense controlled account, and so the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, DFAS, was the one to initiate that wire payment. We helped them build the wire instruction to do that. The funds were then transferred to the Foreign Central Bank, which converted them into Swiss francs. Those francs were then withdrawn as banknotes. They were transported from one location in Switzerland to Geneva, and there they were dispersed to a representative of the Central Bank of Iran. With respect to the second payment, the $1.3 billion that represented the compromise of interest pursuant to the settlement agreement, that money was transferred again from the judgment fund, which is the fund that Congress has authorized for the payment of judgments and settlements when there is no other appropriated fund. It was transferred to the account of another central bank, again, the Central Bank of the Netherlands. It was converted into euros at that stage. It was withdrawn as banknotes pursuant to an arrangement between the United States, the home government of that central bank, and Iran. That bank then dispersed those funds to representatives of the Central Bank.
Was there a receipt for all these fund transfers? Was there a receipt given?
For which leg, sir?
Well, when the funds were received, when money's transferred, there's acknowledgement and there's a receipt. Was there a receipt given for the transfers? Do we have access to those receipts?
I'm not familiar with the answer to that question, sir. I'd have to take that back.
Well, I would like to know what type of receipt was received, in what manner from Iran to the United States for the $400 million. Mr. Ahern, considering the funds that were received, what confidence do you have that this money was not diverted immediately toward terrorist interests and organizations?
Again, to carry on some of the comments that my colleagues have made in the past, and also I would commend to you the testimony of our Acting Assistant Secretary Zubin recently with respect to the funds that were released pursuant to the JCPOA, and he has testified in detail about the deep hole that the Iranian economy was in, to the tune of $500 billion. And so while we can't track any particular banknote, we do know that Iran had a very significant domestic need for funds. I can also say that the Treasury Department is committed to identifying and countering terrorist financing, its facilitators, its networks. We have an entire office, the Office of Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, that combines all the national security functions of the department under one roof, that Office's
One last
primary
question.
mission, in fact, the reason it was established was to counter terrorist financing, and we continue to be focused on countering terrorist financing and its networks.
These negotiations are scripted and very well thought through, and in an effort to make sure that there's no mistakes intentionally. How could this be done without recognizing that $400 million would be transferred simultaneously that the hostages were being released? Was there not a full recognition that would be taking place, and at least the perception of that reality?
Congressman, if I may interject to answer your question. As I've mentioned, it was a fact that we tried to resolve multiple lines of business all around the same time. That included the Iranian nuclear deal, which we were implementing, and the IEA had verified that weekend that Iran had met its commitments under that deal. We were trying to resolve the prisoner release and the return of our American citizens back to the United States. And as I mentioned previously, there was a reciprocal humanitarian gesture with respect to Iranian nationals that were in the United States. And we were trying to resolve this particular issue with respect to the settlement of the claims because we thought that this judgment was in the interest of the United States. And we did so all at the same time because there was a momentum that did not exist for the past 3 decades. And we were fearful that if we let 1 or 2 of these lines of effort drag out and we did not conclude them all at the same time, that we would jeopardize our...
My time has ended. I will just say that I was there to receive Pastor Abedini in Germany, and he heard the conversation with one of the guards that they're waiting for a plane to come in with the cash. He's made already a public statement on that. Thank you very much.
The gentleman's time has expired.